Welcome to Conversations with the ERC5. I am so excited today to have with us as our guest Steve Graham of Toner Plastics and the depot at Graham Station. But he is also a recipient of the 2023 Difference Makers Awards from Business West. Steve, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Grace. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I see that you brought us some wonderful things. Tell us a little bit. Let's start with Toner Plastics. Tell me a little bit about Toner Plastics. Something that you created with your wife?
Sure. Well, we started it in 1989, so we're just about 35 years old. It was a rough start, I have to say. I think the first 6 months we had one sale for $200. But somehow we did manage to make it into a business.
You had a dream. You had a dream, a vision, and so together you made it happen.
Yes, definitely together. Jean still works in the business after 35 years. Sometimes it's tough working with a spouse, but we've managed to make it work together. She pays all the bills and makes sure we have enough money, so it works pretty well for us.
Well, I'd say it has worked very well for you.
Thank you.
And when I was looking on your website at Toner Plastics, I was amazed by all the wonderful things that you do. Of course, you do my favorite childhood toy, something I still play with, the hula hoop. And then you have all of these wonderful items as well. One of my daughters is a nurse, so after I was on the website, I couldn't wait to call her. She's an infusion nurse, and I said, the IVs that you use, Toner Plastics. It's amazing how many things that you create and how many, I'm in awe. Tell me a little bit about what Toner Plastics does.
Sure. Well, the Toner Plastics is located in East Long Meadow, and in that facility, we do what's called extrusion, and some of the products that you would recognize are the hula hoops, okay? This is another product, your earplugs that you find in factory floors.
Oh, okay.
The throwaway earplugs.
Yes.
Oh, this is tough to open.
You've done a good job sealing it.
This little cord, so you can drape it around your neck, is something that we make for companies like 3M and Honeywell. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't believe how many earplugs are used a year. It's just incredible. We also make the elastic cord for the N95 masks, so we were pretty busy a few years ago with COVID.
Absolutely.
And then we have a company in Pittsfield, which is an injection molding company, and an injection molding operation is where all the buttons on your plastic buttons in your car, your radios, everything you see is made. And so there we can make the medical device parts. I brought a little one with me. This is I don't know if the camera can pick this up, but it's a little catheter, suction catheter that removes fluid from the lungs. Mm-hmm. And that's where we also make your intravenous tubing connectors. And then down in Rhode Island, we have the oldest bead manufacturing company in the United States. And that's where all your beads come from, and
all this wonderful craft stuff.
The fun things for kids to make. But I want to just mention the very first product we started with, which is called GIMP or lanyard. And that's 2 pieces of plastic lace that you start with.
Yes.
And you weave a keychain or a lanyard. Everybody did it in Park and Rec or summer camp, and you hang keys off it or a whistle or something like that. And that's really the way the company started. We've been very fortunate. We have some very good customers. We have big customers like Walmart and Hobby Lobby on the craft side. On the medical side, we have companies like Medtronic and a few other major medical device companies. And
you've been blessed, very successful,
very much
with your business, but you've given back quite a bit. I'm in reading the article in Business West and learning about all the things that you've done. You were a wrestler in high school and then in college. And then tell us about the Wrestling Academy.
Well, we have something that we started 2 years ago that's really neat. It's called the Grit and Gratitude Wrestling Academy. It's in the north end of Springfield, and it covers all ages and boys and girls. We start at 5 years old. We have a really nice youth program. We've got about 40 or 50 kids in the youth program right now. We started in the middle of COVID, so it wasn't an easy start, but then we have middle school kids and high school kids, and we have a great group of coaches. And I could not have made it happen without two gentlemen, both who coach in Springfield, one at Central, Darby McLaughlin, coached for 20 years there, the wrestling team and football, and then Dave Alvarado at Putnam Vocational. He's still there 26 years, and those two gentlemen, they're not only great coaches, but they're really generous people. And so the three of us have, and some others have got it going down there in the North End, and it's really exciting.
Wonderful.
And we have a great logo. Here's our logo.
That's their wrestling. That's fantastic. And you said you started that during COVID, but what a wonderful time in retrospect, because as we came out of COVID, you provided these kids somewhere to go, something to do, a focus, because so many children were confined and, that we weren't able to go out and celebrate and do things. And how great that this Grit and Gratitude Academy is there for them now and will continue to be. So thank you very much for that. And also the East Long Meadow Educational Endowment Fund, you're responsible for that. And then so many charities that are so near and dear. I love the Ronald McDonald House, the Alzheimer's Association, links to I could go on and on. But thank you. Where does that motivation come from, that spirit of giving back?
Well, I'm sure you do many of the same type of things, Grace, as do others in the community. And I think for Jean and I, we feel that we've been very fortunate, and we have the ability to help others to a certain extent, and to that extent, we'd like to do so. So, especially the youth, children. That's near and dear to our heart. Education is near and dear to our heart. The Educational Endowment Fund in East Long Meadow is, I have to say, it's pretty cool. And the parents that have taken over the last 15 years, we've been out of it now for that long. It's been around for about 25 years. Kudos to them to keep it going, because it now has passed the $1 million mark in its endowment. And has granted about $500,000 back to the schools. That's
fantastic.
So,
well, and thanks to you and Jean, because you laid the groundwork. So we're all very grateful for that. And you said something about children and the youth, and then that brings us to the depot at Graham Station, because my grandchildren love it there. I love it there. It's right next to the bike path. And you took that building and you preserved the history, and you've created a wonderful place for kids. You created Whoville. Was it a year ago, 2 years ago? And that was a phenomenal event. And you've got the little train track that you do there now. Tell us a little bit more.
Well, the depot is pretty cool.
Very cool.
It's a great place for the community to just relax, enjoy, watch the world go by. We wanted to do something that the entire community could enjoy. And that building was built in 1876. It's an original train depot, housed passengers and freight, and had a couple trains going to and from it every day. That eventually was abandoned. And it just makes a great little cafe and a great ice cream shop. So Jean and I thought if we had a shot at preserving it, we would try to do it. And we managed to convince the prior owner to sell us the building first. And 10 years later, we got the land, and we went to work on the ice cream shop first. And
worked out perfectly. Well, and it abuts the bike path. So I
Yep.
know if I go running with my running club, we stop in for coffee. If I've got the grandkids, first thing they see, even though it's 9 a.m, when we walk in, it's the ice cream. But it is a great place. And as a friend of mine said recently when we were there, you can really feel that it was a labor of love.
it was and still is. You know, the train we put in took a lot more time and dollars than we thought, but it's a really neat little train ride for the kids, little and big. Mm-hmm. We just extended it and made it quite a bit bigger, put another loop in, put a mine shaft tunnel in, and a little, I call it a mountain pass. Gene thinks I'm out of my mind, but we're having a lot of fun with it.
Well, it is a great place, and I encourage anyone who's watching who has not been there yet to absolutely come out. It's a great location to bring the community together. And if there's anything that we learned from COVID, is how important community is, and having those wonderful places where we can gather and celebrate the history of the town and celebrate one another. So I'm so grateful to you for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Maybe we can get the chamber to do an ice cream social there or something. And
it's done. And we'll get a date on the books.
We'll get a DJ and we'll put a dance floor out and everybody can enjoy.
I love the idea. That would be so much fun. That'd be great. So we'll come back and we'll share that with the viewers that we have the ice cream social on the calendar. That's and we'll celebrate that. So you are amazing. And before we wrap this up, I do want to share an incredible story. And I finally figured out that you were the gentleman in this story. I was in senior living for 10 years, and just before COVID, I met an incredible gentleman who was trying to, I think he was in his 80s maybe, he was trying to figure out what direction to go in. He had lost his spouse. And he told me the story about how his wife passed. He had met this great friend of his son's, and this gentleman offered him a job. And it gave him new hope. It gave him direction. In further conversation, I learned that it was Toner Plastics and it was Steve Graham. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for doing that. That is absolutely amazing. And in this time where we're all talking about staffing shortages and how do we manage this, that's a perfect example. When you look at our seniors and everything they have to offer, and you're able to give them a purpose, you ignite hope and you give them so much. And what you did for him was absolutely incredible. And just went quietly by the radar until he shared it with me. And then I just couldn't keep quiet about it. But I want to thank you for what you did for him. That's really an amazing thing. Because when we can give back to our seniors and thank them for everything they've done for us, because they have so much knowledge, we just need to tap into how can we bring them back into the workforce in some way and give them back a purpose to their days. That's incredible.
Well, thank you very much, Grace. If I may just say that this gentleman, Jim, is still working with us, and he turned 87 last year.
Wow.
And he's just a joy to have around. Everybody loves him. They call him Gramps.
Yep.
And he helps us as much as we help him. So it's been a great experience all around.
Thank you.
We are looking for some train conductors if anybody wants to drive the train.
So tell me, if we've got any train conductors out there or people that are looking for more information about Toner Plastics, how may they reach you?
Well, they can stop by the office. We're right on Industrial Drive in East Longmeadow, 35 Industrial Drive. They could stop by the depot. They don't have to buy an ice cream. They can just stop by there. And the best way to contact us is probably through our website, tonerplastics.com, or the depot at grahamcentralstation.com. And we have Facebook as well. But before we end this, I've got one little surprise for you. Since you're so nice.
I love surprises.
I got my handy little carrying case here. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
We got some ice cream for you.
Toasted coconut.
Graham Central Station.
I
Kirsten,
love it.
Strawberry lemon sorbet.
We're going to have an ice cream social sooner
Tony,
than we thought. We don't have to
black
wait for the spring, summer.
Yogurt.
Oh my gosh, how did you know?
Chocolate. I had to bring one that was the same.
Steve, that is
You guys enjoy.
fabulous. Thank you so much. You are so thoughtful. Thank you. From all of us here, thank you so much for joining us. To our guests at home, thank you for joining us for this podcast. I can't even think straight because I'm just thinking which ice cream I'm going to delve into first. But for more information about this podcast and others, visit our website at ERC5.com. Thank you so much for being with us.